Lucy and welcome back to another video. I'm so happy that you're here and that you have decided to take charge of your fertility. I wish I had known this simple information when I was first learning to chart or when I was first discovering charting. I completely understand that it can be a very scary decision to make, especially if you don't have all the right information. I wish I had all this information in one place to refer back to when I started my charting journey, which is why I want to make sure that this information is easily accessible to as many people as possible, all in the one place. You can always refer back to it whenever you need to. And I completely understand that charting can be a scary decision to make. And I congratulate you for even taking the step to learn about the method and to see what's involved, to make the right decision for you, and to take your health and wellness to a whole new level. Well, I want to say that charting your cycles is actually a lot easier than it may seem. And you can get started right away after watching this video with the information that I'm about to share with you today. Charting has never been easier. Let's get started. When using the symptothermal method of fertility awareness, the first thing that you need is a basal body thermometer, or a BBT for short, which you will hear me say that throughout this video. A basal body thermometer is a highly sensitive thermometer that can measure as small as 0.2 degrees. A basal body thermometer is an accurate thermometer that can measure to 2 decimal places. This is really important because the changes that you will be seeing on your chart can be very small and minuscule. And this type of thermometer is going to capture it. When searching for a basal body thermometer, you need to ensure that it's not just a regular fever one, as it won't give you an accurate reading. Most pharmacies or drugstores will sell a basal body thermometer, and most pharmacists will know what you mean when you ask for one if you can't find it in the store. You can also ask for a ovulation thermometer, as that is also another common name for it. So I'm going to go through the basal body thermometers that I recommend, and the first one here is the Surgipak. So you can find this at your local chemist warehouse around Australia, or you can also purchase it online if they don't have it in stock. This is like your entry-level basal body thermometer. It only costs about $12.50 Australian, so it's really cheap. So if you do decide that this method isn't for you, then at least you haven't spent a lot of money, and then you can probably use it to check your fever if you ever do get sick. So the second thermometer that I do recommend is the Fertility to Family Basal Body Thermometer. This is an Australian-based company, so if you'd like to support your locals, they are actually based in Tasmania, and it's run by a husband and wife, so you can also check out their website. This basal body thermometer has a memory function, so it will remember a few days' temperatures if you forget to note it down straight away, which is also handy because sometimes who has time for that in the morning? So that way it allows you to access the temperature at a later time. And then it also has an automatic shut off to preserve its battery life. I also have a discount code if you want to purchase the Fertility to Family. You can get 15% off store wide if you just use charting 15 at checkout. The third basal body thermometer I recommend is actually not really a basal body thermometer because it is a armband device which is called the Tempdrop. So you wear this on the upper arm, so you would put it through here, and then my jumper's too thick so I can't really do it now, but it sits here basically under your armpit, so that way when you put your arm down and you go to sleep, it's going to track your temperature over the night or over the period that you sleep. This is also really good for people that get up in the middle of the night and breastfeed, or shift workers, or if you don't wake up at the same time every single day. So it's a wearable device that tracks your temperature throughout the night, and then it calculates the most average basal body temperature for that time that you were asleep. So this syncs to an actual Tempdrop app that you'll need to download, and then another app that I recommend, which I'll be going through later on, syncs to it as well, which is really good because then you don't have to manually transfer it, and it also does the rounding for you when you chart in Celsius. I personally don't recommend the Tempdrop for newbies because you have to wear it for at least 60 days before you can rely on it accurately to determine if you are ovulating or not. Just it takes time for it to learn your sleeping pattern. But if it's your only resort, then it should be fine if you do want to use it first off. I know people that have used it straight away and they've been able to chart successfully with no problems. It's just that it can be quite costly, and if you're not willing to make the investment just yet because you're not sure if charting is going to be right for you, then it's probably best to get a the oral basal body thermometer. That way you know if charting's right for you. And I will be going through how to chart, so you can also chart vaginally, which you can use these for that as well. If you do want to purchase a Tempdrop, you can get 10% off and use the discount code. The code is actually a link down below that I've posted, so you can just click on that link and it will automatically put the discount code on it once you enter the website. And then there's 3 different packages that you can choose from, so it just depends on if you want extra warranty and care on it. If you're not sure, reach out and let me know what's the best option for you and I can help you with that. Okay, so the second thing that you need to know when you first learn to chart is how are you going to chart. So you need to pick an app. So the main app that I recommend is called Read Your Body. It is absolutely amazing. It's customizable. It can be a bit overwhelming when you first use it because there's so many functions to it, but like I said, if you do need help with setting it up, let me know as well. I can also send you a template for the symptothermal method. And then the other app that I recommend is Kindara, which is a really great free app. Just note that the cervical mucus descriptions aren't customizable, so you're stuck with what they've got there on the chart. But if you understand how to use it and what your cervical mucus is, then it's easy to use. And I did start off with Kindara. That was the very first app I used. And then when Read Your Body came out, you can actually download your history from Kindara and then re-upload it to Read Your Body, so you're not losing the data. You can still transfer it across, which is the best thing about Read Your Body. And they have instructions on how to do that as well, depending on which app you were previously using to start with. Paper charts is another great option if you like to get creative. I know Fertility Charting does really great paper charts. That's Jessie from Fertility Charting if you want to go check her out. I'm not sure if she has the journals available at this point in making the video, but you can always go check it out, or she has paper charts that you can purchase and download as well to use. And then that means you can customize what color you want, and you can also make it like a really nice journaling experience. And please always remember that apps are only for putting your data in. They're not for interpreting any of the data. And I know Kindara does have predictions on, so if you go to the settings and toggle it off, that way you don't have the app telling you when to expect your period, when to expect ovulation. And I did explain this in the previous video, which you can go check out here, where I spoke about what the difference is between tracking your cycles versus charting your cycle. And of course I'm talking about charting your cycles here with all this information. So the third thing that you need to do is learn how to take your temperature. So you take your temperature as soon as you wake up in the morning after you have a minimum of 3 hours of sleep, if you're doing it orally or vaginally. So you would just insert it under your tongue. I would do it, but I didn't sanitize these, and I used this to show people, so my hands have been touching all over them. But you would put it on one side of your mouth up to the back, so once it hits the wall of your tongue at the back, and then you would press it and then wait for the beat to go off, and then you would take it out and check the reading. Try and stick to the same side throughout the cycle just to keep it consistently. If you are getting jumpy temperatures, that's also another reason why you might, so you can troubleshoot that. If you are a mouth breather, it is really great to try vaginal temping instead, because obviously with your mouth open while you're sleeping, it's going to affect the moisture in there and make it harder to get a reading from you. And if you don't know if you mouth breathe, ask your partner if you have one, and if you don't, tape your mouth. It's actually a thing. It's called mouth taping, so maybe you can Google it and check it out. But I haven't tried it yet. All I've heard is that if you tape your mouth, then you'll be able to know if you mouth breathe or not, because you will be forcing your mouth open to break the tape, and that way you will know if you do. So you can Google it and check it out and discover if you are a mouth breather, because a lot of us don't know unless somebody tells us. So taking your temperature is really easy. It takes less than 3 minutes a day, especially if you input it in your app then and there as well. The fourth thing that we are going to talk about is cervical mucus. Have you ever seen a big glob on your aunties or on the toilet paper and thought, wow, what is that? Well, it's actually got a name for it, and that's cervical mucus. Commonly people might be calling it discharge, but I find that discharge has a real negative connotation to it, and meaning that it's dirty and that there is an infection. So the technical term for it is cervical mucus or cervical fluid. And cervical mucus is a really important part of our fertility, because this is what keeps the sperm alive inside the vagina. So when you have your fertile fluid, it's going to nourish the sperm and keep it alive to allow it to travel up into meet the egg. Cervical mucus is produced from the cervix, so that is a cone-shaped like gland at the end of your vagina canal that you can also palpate, which I'll be telling you about shortly, so stay tuned for that. Cervical mucus should be checked throughout the day. So I like to say every time you take your pants off. So if you're getting changed in the morning, if you're going for a shower, so before you have a shower, and then every single time you use the bathroom. So you can check before and after you use the bathroom, and you can wipe with toilet paper, or you can use your fingers if you want. If you use your fingers, then you can rub it between your fingers and stretch it, or if you've got it on toilet paper, you can wipe it and pick it up off the toilet paper, or if you're a bit grossed out and don't want to do that, you can have the toilet paper fold over and then separate it, so you're like opening it like a book to see if it stretches. But I think it's important to touch it because you are going to get a sense of the type of mucus it is, whether it's got grainy texture or if it's like a really smooth creamy lotion. So you would record the most fertile fluid for that day, and some of the cervical mucus descriptions that you might see are, it might be dry in the beginning and rough, or you might get a sticky grainy sensation, then it might be creamy lotion, then it could also turn into a sticky egg white or also a watery consistency. So those are a few main cervical mucus types that you might have, but everybody's body is different and everyone produces different types of fluid, and your creamy might be different to my creamy. So it's just about finding out your cervical mucus pattern. So you can start noting down that in the notes section and build up some data as well, so that way you can look back and see what kind of mucus pattern you have. And this is also important to determine the closing and opening of your fertile window when charting. The fifth and final thing is checking your cervix. Now, some people actually don't know this, but your cervix moves up and down in the vagina canal depending on where you are in your cycle. So when you are fertile, your cervix is going to be a lot higher and open to allow the sperm to go through the passage. And then when you are approaching your period, or when you have your period, or when you're bleeding, it will start to be a lot lower and protrude more into the vagina. So the cervix is what cervical mucus gets excreted out of, and then also menstruation can flow outwards. And then the other way would be for sperm to travel up into the uterus to go and implant the egg. A tip that I tell everyone is that go and palpate your cervix when you are close to your period or when you have it. If you're game enough and you've got your period, I would suggest to check it in the shower because it's going to be at its most lowest point. And then obviously being in the shower, it's going to be a lot less messy and you'll be able to see a difference that it's much lower. And then I would check it only once again when you're in your fertile window. That way you can compare the two, because if you're checking every single day in the beginning, it might get confusing. Then I would check it only once again when you are in your fertile window. That way you can compare the two, because if you're checking every single day in the beginning, it might get confusing. But try once at the time of your period or just before or after you finish bleeding, and then when you're in your fertile window approaching ovulation or have confirmed ovulation, because that'll be its most highest peak. And then you can start using it every single day. Now, something really important I want to mention is that we cannot rely solely on the cervix to confirm that we are fertile. So this is just an extra bonus that you can do, and it is totally optional, because I know some people can get really squirmy to check their cervix, and that's totally up to you if you want to do it or not. And something really cool is that if you have given birth vaginally, your cervix is going to be slightly open because it's been stretched. And if you are palpating your cervix and you haven't given birth yet, it's really cool to see now what it's doing, and then once you have given birth, you'll be able to see the difference. And then it's also amazing to know that that's actually where the baby gets delivered if you do have a vaginal birth. So I think it's really fascinating how the body works and getting to know how you work and your body. So there you have it. Those are the 5 things that you need to know before you begin charting and how to get started to chart your cycle. I know that when I found this information, it was quite overwhelming, and it still can be for some people. You might have some questions that need some answers, but life is too short to keep living in pain on hormonal birth control, and it's time to create change and start living your best life. So click the link down below in the description to book in a call to have a free one-on-one chat. During our call, I'd love to get to know you, and I'd love to hear your birth control story as well, and why you want to make the switch to a natural method of birth control. And then we'll be able to find out if this method is going to be best suitable for you, and to see if we can work together. Maybe you have some issues that you've been facing, and I'd love to help you fast track them to ensure that there are no mistakes made while you are charting your cycles. So I basically be holding your hand through the entire journey, and I look forward to meeting with you very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so you know when future videos are released. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!